everyone. All right, I'm sorry for the ping. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we were getting started. So welcome. My name is Juniper. I am the Senior Community Manager for the Bitverse, and I would like to give you all a very warm welcome to our community Q&A session. This week, I am excited to introduce to you all the Bit Heroes Quest product manager, Orky, and our wonderful producer, Seven. Orky and Seven, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Thank you for having us. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
So for today, our plan is to go over some updates about current Bitverse community events and giveaways, as we usually do. Then we are going to transition into answering player-submitted questions about Bit Heroes Quest. We'll wrap the session up by giving away an Ultra Gore to another lucky audience member. This session is going to be about 30 to 45 minutes, I think, and we'll be posting the Q&A up on our YouTube channel for everyone who may not have been able to make it. Now, before we get started, as per usual, I want to quickly mention a few things that may be of interest to the community, and then we will get into answering our questions. So for those of you in our who are interested in our new NFTs, we are super excited to share that we are going to be giving away free NFT heroes on our Twitter in the very near future. And by very near future, I mean like really, really soon. If you want to snag one before the official pre-sale on September 22nd, you have a few days left to follow us and on Twitter, on Medium. We think the best way, if you want to get stay in the loop with this stuff, is to follow us on Twitter. Our handle is BH Bitverse. So BH and then another B Bitverse. Okay. So we are also opening up our allow list on September 8th. For those in the audience who aren't familiar with the term, an allow list is a list of pre-approved wallet addresses or people that will receive special access to our NFTs on their release. We'll be randomly selecting people from our allow list to participate in our upcoming pre-sale of the Gen Z NFT heroes. As a reminder, only a limited number will be available. So again, please follow us on Twitter and Medium to stay up to date with all of the news and information going on in that part of our world. Next week, the Battle of the Memes will be returning to our Discord server, and for the funniest of us all, we have some absolutely wonderful prizes planned. This time around, I am going to keep it a surprise, and I don't want to spoil it, but we will for sure be giving out at a bare minimum some cores and resources to the entries that the team likes the best. Memes are going to need to be original content and Bitverse themes. So the memers in our community are going to need to get creative if they want to walk away with in-game Bit Heroes loot. We also continue to run multiple social events on our Discord, and we would really like you guys to all join us tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so an hour after this Q&A. We will be, Coffee and I will be playing Phasmophobia together, and we're going to go ahead and give away another XXL pack to someone who hangs out with us while we stream. That's really all there is to it this week. After we got defeated, I think it was 8-2 last week by the ghosts, Coffee and I are back to try and reclaim our honor as ghost hunters. We will be inviting players who have Phasmophobia on Steam to join us on a few ghost hunts. So we hope to see you there for some fun tonight. As a quick reminder, Phasmophobia is a little bit more mature of a horror game. So if that's not your cup of tea, just wait until we finish streaming. And what you can do is come and say hi in the channel once all the spookiness is over, and that'll count as an entry into the giveaway. Alrighty, so now before we get into answering questions, I think it would be great to take a moment for Orky and Seven to introduce themselves to the Bitverse community. Can you two share a little bit more about yourself? What are your roles in the Bitverse?
Do you want to go first, Seven?
Okay. Give me one sec. Well, I'm the producer in Bit Heroes Quest. I'm basically the guy that takes the request and evaluate it and said if it is possible or not. But mostly planning and that kind of stuff. I would say that is one of the most boring parts of the developer for a lot of people. But honestly, I'm super nerd, so I enjoy a lot reading documents and creating spreadsheets and that kind of things.
And as Juniper mentioned, I am the product manager for Bitverse Quest. So on a weekly basis, I analyze a lot of data and I basically monitor the performance of the game. And I also create a lot of analyses on specific points of the game to identify what works well, what doesn't work well. I will then communicate my findings with Seven and we could prioritize them there. I also regularly talk to the other departments to ensure the game is running as seamlessly as possible. And when I have time, I play other games, competitor games for the Bitverse to see what ideas we can bring to the table.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those introductions. I think one part of our industry that a lot of people aren't aware of, if maybe you just play games, is just how many spreadsheets and how much number crunching and stuff goes on behind the scenes. So it's really wonderful to have you both here with us this week. So let me go ahead and take a look. Now, I am pretty sure this week we actually got some tougher questions about Bit Heroes Quest. So I think it would be great if we just jumped right in. So our first question is talking a little bit about bugs. And the question says, there have been lots of big bugs in the past few months. Weave, milestones, PvP. Why have these bugs been slipping by and what are you doing to stop them from happening in the future?
Okay, I think I can take this one. To be honest, we are very concerned about that, and I can say that we are working on that because it's what I'm doing right now. So we are trying to chase all those bugs with the QA team, and also your reports as a community are pretty helpful for us because it helps us to identify them quicker and also to identify where are they happening. So please keep reporting because it's super useful for us.
I also want to add that we are having the devs work on implementing tech that will help us with these bugs in the future. So, for example, like the equipment book, I think someone, maybe Jorge, mentioned this in a past Q&A. The target with the equipment book is, or the devs are restructuring the way that the equipment is currently handled and organized into a more efficient way. So it could, one, decrease the amount of manual work for devs in the future when new zones are added and decreases the chances of small slip-ups by people. And then two, it should also provide some quality of life improvements for the community. And three, it will make it possible for the game to continue running. Because at the rate the game is going, if we do not implement the equipment book, it will honestly just cease to run because of memory overload. So we are definitely very aware of this issue, and we are just trying to add whatever tech we can to decrease the chances of big bugs like this in the future.
I think that is one of the trickier parts about having a little bit of an older game is sometimes these bigger back-end changes are needed to keep things running smoothly. So on to our next question, which is just a little bit easier and a little bit more fun. Do you play Bit Heroes regularly? If so, what level are you?
Yes, I do play regularly, like almost every day. And don't tell my boss, but I play throughout the day as I'm working. So I am currently level 142, and I am completely free to play. I have not spent a dime on this game, despite me being one of the not developers, but one of the people working on this project.
So you play while we are working. That explains a lot of things.
No.
Do we have to?
Okay, I did not say that. I am
Is
not.
it?
I'm also not playing right now. You will not.
Is
You will not
is
see
Jorge
Orky
the
in the
one
chat
who
right
we
now.
have to like? Is Jorge the one we have to like make sure he doesn't watch this Q&A?
I don't see him in the audience, so I think we're good.
Well, we can ban it. So
Don't record it.
right. And honestly, in my case, I don't play as often as Orky, but I play whenever I can, especially when we need to check some new features or, well, since we were talking about that, bug fix it and that kind of stuff.
And I play, I think I've told this to the community a few times. I'm still lower level than I should be and would like to be. But we do play pretty often. I actually keep my account relatively bare bones because we do friends list spot with Coffee and I do, so we try not to keep our accounts like too dev OP. But yeah, no, we all for sure play on the team. I think I've heard from members of the community before that there's like this idea that we don't play, and I actually love this question because I know like Jorge plays all the time and like Orky plays all the time. So we definitely have a lot of people on the team who love the game. That's part of why we're here. Alrighty, so next question. Okay, content. So we're talking about content. Why has there been less content? We're bored at the higher tiers and have run out of things to do.
I think I can take this one. So we already kind of touched on this. We are trying to implement some features that will improve quality of life for both the devs and the players. This does unfortunately mean a decrease in content output, but we promise that it is for good reasons. I can tell you though that next month we have the new zone planned and scheduled to launch. The title will be, I might be butchering this, but Spruce Song Attack, and the new raid will be Under the Titan's Eye.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds awesome. Speculate away, community. So I think that is really good for everyone to, to hear. We know there's a little bit of a lull going on right now. Please know that we are using this time to keep improving the game, like Orky said. And yeah, no, like I think it's fair to say, like, I understand the sentiment of definitely that, running out of things to do. We hear that. Luckily, something is coming very, very soon. So we all have good reasons to be hyped. Talking about pricing a little bit instead of content. Why is Bit Heroes so expensive? This person feels, compared to other games, that the drop rates are lower and purchasing for cash is very expensive. Why not try lower prices, better bundles, or an increase in drop rates?
Okay, so I believe this is another question for me. So in the end of the day, Bit Heroes is a free-to-play game, and I do understand people's sentiments and concerns. But I do want to point out that we are very data-driven. We need a lot of data before we're willing to make any changes in the game. We need something concrete before we can go off of ideas and just things that people say. But I can promise you that currently the devs are working on implementing tech that allows us to better understand, analyze, and most importantly, experiment with the game bundles in the future. This is an ongoing process, however, so please understand that things like this can take some time. And then once we get this tech implemented, I am very open to experimenting more with bundles and trying to implement these things that the players are asking for.
And I think a really good call out, the team does try very, very hard to listen to feedback from our players. And I think we actually just had a new bundle that released that is a little bit more in line with some of the feedback that we've heard from players. So we hope that y'all enjoy it. And yeah, as Orky said, I think in the future, this is something that we will definitely be focusing on. That being said, we have another easy one that I love this one. What is your favorite piece of gear? I know for me, I'm so one of the mods in our community, she typoed my name one time, and from then has just been calling me Jupe Jupe. So I ride around on a Jupe door, and it's my favorite thing in the world. I love it. It's like my rainbow robot, and it's super cool. I absolutely love my Jupe door. So that's mine. What about you, Orky?
That's really cute. I like the nickname Juke Juke. I'll start calling you.
Yeah, sounds cool and nice.
Okay, but my favorite piece of gear. So I like anything rainbow and colorful. So I like the glimmer, the main hand glimmer. And then I also like my current mount peach because of rainbows. But I did also recently get a cosmetic for my pet, Wee-Wit, and I like this one as well because it's very cute because this looks like a cotton candy cloud. And then I also tend to like things that are blue, purple, and pink. And this cosmetic has exactly those colors, so I like it a lot.
Well, I have to say that I never pay attention to that kind of stuff. As a comment, my memory is not good. So when I used to play League of Legends, I never knew which kind of build I used to use. So it's similar in here. But I can tell you that I always love things that are kind of cool, especially if they have dragons or dinosaurs or whatever that looks like a reptile or aggressive kind of gear.
You should buy the special bundle pack today then, because there's a lizard in there.
Okay, I'm going to talk with PM to see what can I do.
All right.
We need to give you some creds. Okay, awesome. So we have another question, I think, talking about us as players, which I always like these questions. So as players, what pain points do you feel need to be addressed that you have personally experienced?
Honestly, I hate crashes, especially when we lose progress. It can be super frustrating. So, on that regard, I totally understand when you complain about that, because it's not also the crash itself; it's all you lose because of the crash. Sometimes you are in a battle or in other situations, super focused on that, and suddenly you have a crash or a blocker. I hate that.
Oh yeah, I feel you. Crashes are definitely up there for me, but I'm gonna say drop rates. They feel very stingy, and I've been trying to get like certain legendary equipment and familiars from the raids for honestly weeks now, if not even months, and I still don't have any full sets because drop rates suck.
Yeah. In fact, you're right, Orky. I think there is only one thing that is worse than crashes, and it's low FPS rate because it's like internet. When you have a slow internet, it's horrible painful. But if you don't have internet, it's not a big deal. So it's worth having a bad internet than having no internet at all. I think it's kind of the same because we are playing, then FPS goes down, and it's like I'm trying to play good, but why is it not working?
Yeah, exactly. And I mainly play on web, and I've noticed that the FPS drops a lot more on web, I believe, than mobile. So it's definitely a big pain point.
I have a totally different answer to this one. When I was first playing Bit Heroes, before I was announced as the community manager, I was playing the game a lot. And I couldn't make any friends. Nobody
Oh no.
would be my friend to get
I'll
through
be your friend.
to help me get through the stuff and the
I've been
dungeons and
there.
everything early on. So I was just like, oh man. And I think I went to I actually forgot. I think I might have gone to the Beard, who was the CM before me, and I was like, "What do I do?" And he
Oh
told me,
no.
he was like, "You need friends," and I was like, "That's the problem." It's
I feel your
luckily
pain. Feel you, bro.
Yeah.
right. It's not easy. You guys, though, I will say, and like our community here, is probably already fully aware of this, but if you do need help finding friends, our Discord is a really cool place to find friends. There's a lot of players here who are really wonderful, and are super happy to help people out. But yeah, so anyway, that was my pain point as a player, was just like, man, I need
Yeah,
to be
that's
able to
very true.
find friends.
So actually, when I first started playing this game, I didn't connect to my com account. And then once I connected my com account, I lost all my progress. And the thing I was most upset about was my friend. Like I lost this super powerful friend that had like over 1,000 and all of the different stats. And I could not find another friend that was as powerful as that in my new account.
And that's the reason why you
Our
play
high
that
level
much.
friends are to be treasured.
You wanna be that friend now.
I'm not at that stage yet, but I am hoping to get there.
Yeah, you're working hard on that.
Yeah, very hard. The hardest part of my job.
All right, awesome. So this is a fun one too. How do you decide what new features should be added to the game?
Oh, that's it's a whole process, honestly. And as you can see, we always work together as a team because, first of all, Orki usually send a request to me so I can evaluate it with the team, and then we prioritize. And also, Orchid is depending on the KPIs and what we are expecting on that. So, Orchid, please continue.
Yeah, I could definitely provide some more insight on how I come to conclusions on what features should be added first or later. So, like what Seven mentioned, I look a lot at the amount of players that a feature would impact and the KPIs that would be impacted. If you don't know what KPI means, it stands for Key Performance Indicator. This is basically a metric that we use to measure performance for a product. So for example, I'll look at retention, engagement, conversion, and revenue, which are all very important KPIs in lots of games.
Yeah,
So once, oh,
please go ahead, Orchid.
sorry. So yeah, once we determine the impact, we can then prioritize after discussing with Seven, we can then prioritize features based on levels like critical, high, medium, and low.
Yeah, in that regard, you would be surprised on all the numbers and graphic that Orchid sees daily. It's really impressive, actually. I don't know how you can do it.
It's a lot of numbers, and um, we don't have the most robust data tracking currently, so I do have to play a lot with queries sometimes to get the data I want, and that takes up a lot more time than I'd like to admit.
I'll say, as one of the people on the team who, like, I write really good. I remain in awe and always have been of the PMs, game designers. Like, how much math y'all have to do is so impressive. I could never.
Oh man, when I
Yeah.
look at Lime's game design sheets, I'm just like, oh man, so many numbers. How does he do it?
On that regard, people often think that making video games doesn't imply things like that. And I have to say, guys, if you want to eventually work in the industry, you have to be really good at math.
Yes, definitely. You will be working with numbers every day.
Especially game designers.
It's true. Even on the community side of things, we do numbers too, y'all. we report on metrics and stuff like that. So unfortunately, numbers, math, you do have to do it.
Can't escape
I'm
it.
sure we could. There's probably some positions out there that wouldn't, but generally speaking, there is a surprising amount of. It's not all fun and games. I remember when I started in the gaming industry in Q&A, I had this like idea that it would be like playing games all day because I was 18 and like didn't know any better. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, I was very mistaken.
Oh, I have
Dang.
a fun fact on this because, as you said, people usually think that making video games implies playing all day. So that's the QA job. And honestly, every time I interview a new QA, I start saying, hey, this is not what you think. This is closer to hell because you literally have to play 8 hours a day. And a specific thing that I would request, for example, a tester can play the tutorial 8 hours, 16 hour. It's a lot, actually.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
don't know how
really
they do it.
I honestly, I couldn't do it for very long. There was we did, I'll never forget, this was like what broke me. We were testing Beautiful Katamari and we had to play, I got assigned a test plan to test out the intro of the game. And I didn't realize when I was first starting, but what the test plan was involved playing the intro for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to test every possible combination
Oh my
of
god.
gear and items that could be combined to play through. I literally saw Beautiful Katamari like in my dreams for just years.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't think I can do that. See, one
It
of my
was an
first job
easy job.
offers. Sorry. Yeah,
No, go
one of
ahead,
my
Archie.
first job offers was actually for QA and playtesting, and I'm glad I did not accept that.
Yeah, on that
Props to the
regard,
QA folks out there for sure. It's
Yeah,
genuinely a
no, like
really tough gig.
they're the heroes.
yeah, and it doesn't look like that, but it's really complicated. When I started in video games, I started as a music composer for video games, and it's not the same. But I had to see the game and videos of the game all day to synchronize the music and all that kind of stuff, and that was enough for me. Then I moved to production.
So that's why you transition. Now I know.
Awesome. Well, all right. So let's go ahead and go back to questions so we don't end up we talk forever. Bullshit. We had so many stories we would end up talking forever. But we have a player here who is asking again about drop rates. I think this is kind of similar to the question that we had earlier. But this one is adding to this. They're saying players think they might be broken, even using gores. What would it take to get this part of the game addressed or fixed?
Oh, we are actually working on that. I'm trying to chase the memory leaks and that kind of thing. So I'm pretty sure that as soon as we find something, Juni is going to tell you. And I hope doing it soon, honestly, because I understand how bad it feels, honestly.
Yeah, I also want to add that we are. I've been discussing some things with Lime, and we are in the early stages of discussing drop rates. Full disclosure though, there are a couple other features and pain points we'd like to address before tackling this this topic. But we could definitely also set up some surveys on maybe Discord, maybe social media to get a better understanding on how prevalent this is in the game.
We love surveys. Surveys and polls all day. Let's do it. Okay, why is the XL pack so expensive and appearing weekly? I kind of feel like it loses its XL value because it appears so often.
That's for you, Orchid.
Yeah. Okay, so I can see why players would think it's very expensive and all that, especially since I'm a free to play person myself and I don't like to spend if I don't have to. But honestly, this pack is actually really successful and brings in a lot of revenue on a weekly basis. So from my standpoint, it's a very well performing pack. Then since there's a demand for it, I don't really see the need to change it.
Sorry, I was having problems with my mic there for a second. My apologies for the awkward pause. All right, so our next question, will the Bit Heroes Quest development change after the implementation of the NFT Hero and Bitforge system in terms of balance and content, or will it continue as usual?
Yeah, we definitely have some plans. So, like I mentioned earlier, I've been talking with Lime about balancing and events and what we could do to different game modes to improve engagement and also the fun aspect of them. We are also planning in the future, probably next year, of additional ways we can add content to the game to make it more fun for all players.
Also, you are going to notice some changes on the UI and other aspect related on the quality of life for you.
So it will be, I guess it probably won't be business as usual because we're trying to make it better. So I guess the answer to that question is like technically no. But in a lot of ways, if the core of that question is will the game be, getting support? Yes, for sure. And we're thinking of lots of ways that we can keep improving things for players. Okay, so kind of on that same subject, once the other Bitverse games are officially released, how will you handle giveaways going forward? Okay, so I actually think I'm going to take this one because I think this one is actually referring to the giveaways that we do on Discord. If it's not, and it's referring to other giveaways, I am so sorry about that. But as far as Discord goes, well, no, actually, you know what I want to do? I want to take a step back and I want to mention that if this question is referring to like NFT giveaways or airdrops, we're going to be doing those in the community for, players who are interested in those. But those you'll be getting information when you guys need to be ready and prepared for those sort of things. We will be sure to have all the information available to you. If y'all are talking about the in-game Bit Heroes loot that you can get on our Discord, the short answer is that isn't going to stop. It's not going to change. We may need to get a little bit creative with our bots or our Discord setup, but at the end of the day, we still believe in using Discord as a vehicle to help get, awesome prizes to players who are passionate and love the game. We don't want that to change. I may need to tweak my bots a little bit, and maybe it means Coffee and I have to get creative with like our roles and stuff like that. Roles meaning Discord roles. But y'all don't need to worry about your giveaways going away. We have tons of solutions. We're open to suggestions if you guys do have, guys and gals have concerns about, what those giveaways could be like if there's problematic in any way in the future, you can always let us know. If you have suggestions for how you think they could be awesome, you can also let us know. We're really, really open to feedback in this community. But yeah, so long story short, giveaways will still be happening. We will get creative if we have to make it happen, but they'll keep happening. Okay, cool. So the next question, which is moving back to talk a little bit about guilds. So will Bit Heroes Quest entertain any changes in guild events? The current events pose little incentive to guilds who have maxed out perks to push it all. The interdependence of players on guild and vice versa should increase for greater activity.
Okay, so I can take this question. Short answer is yes, definitely. So I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I have been discussing stuff like this with Lime on how it could improve all the game modes in the future. I will say, however, that despite the interdependence, there are actually some other game modes that are more popular than guild events. So we will be prioritizing those first. And then in addition to this, there are certain game modes that are more outdated than other ones. So we will also be addressing these game modes before we can address guild events.
Alrighty, so then we have a question about feedback in general. We've touched on this a little bit, but I think this is a good one that we can add on a little bit. So the question is, how can we give feedback about pricing in a way that will result in change? It's not that we don't want to buy, it's that it's expensive for what you get. We tell our CMs being short for community managers, but it doesn't seem like prices ever drop. Can we do a survey or should we write into CS? So before Orky jumps in here, I do just want to call out that there are a lot of really amazing ways that players can actually go about getting feedback, giving us feedback that is more constructive and will honestly result in change faster than others. So I think in past Q&As we've chatted about making sure that your feedback is constructive, that it's as detailed as possible. And what really helps is letting us in on the why behind the decisions, behind what your particular stance or point is, and giving us ideas for what you would rather see instead. And I think a call out here when I say of what you would rather see instead. The most successful suggestions, the stuff that really we're able to work with, are more what we kind of refer to as like realistic feedback. So it would be unrealistic feedback to say the whole game should be completely free, also no ads and no way of making money, right? That would be fun, but like we wouldn't be able to keep the game running because it has costs. A more realistic version of that sort of feedback would be to say what you find to be more expensive, why you find it to be more expensive, what it could be replaced with. And to make sure when you do that, that, you are as constructive as possible. It's okay to be frustrated. We understand, especially when it comes to things like pricing, that those can be really hot topics. But I also want to call out that things like the bundle we did today, that just showed up that everyone's really enjoying, are kind of an example of some of those prices coming down. So I think this question was submitted before we had we were able to get that to y'all. But I just want to highlight that as like we do care. We are definitely listening. We're definitely working on this. And I think Orky mentioned this earlier, but what we're going to be doing is we are actually going to be putting together surveys that will give y'all a chance to explain yourself in a little bit more of an easy to quantify way for us, that we can then use to inform our decision making. What I definitely do not want to encourage y'all to do is to do things like write into CS. So CS is an avenue for player support and help. They're there if like your game account breaks or you lose an item or something like that. What we don't want to do is flood those channels so players can't get help with things that they need. Please feel free to join us on Discord, leave us comments on social media, and all of that information is seen and heard by the Bit Heroes team. Orky, I'm not sure if there was anything else you wanted to add or if that kind of covered most of it, because it was pretty focused around feedback.
Yeah, honestly, you summed it up very well. I do just want to add that any decisions we make has to be very data driven. So we definitely do listen to the community and look over all the reports that you all make. But before we can make any changes, we just need to make sure we have the data that supports that claim.
Awesome. All right. So looks like we are coming right up on 45 minutes. But before we go, we would be breaking tradition if we did not have a random silly question for the two of you at the end of our Q&A. All right. So this week, I am curious if you could live in any anime, which one would it be and why? So we're talking about like any anime universe, so the world they live in, that sort of thing. So which one would each of you join?
Seven, you want to go first?
Okay. Complicated question, by the way. I think it's the most difficult of all. But I would say Samurai Champloo because swords and hip hop. And also Slayer. I love Slayer. I don't know if you have ever seen it. Anyway, um, especially the main character, Lina Inverse. I don't know. Is some kind of old crush when I was a kid. Or kid.
What about you, Orky?
Okay, so I like this question a lot because I honestly used to think about this a lot back when I was intense weeaboo, which I am no longer. I still watch anime though. But I would say my first one is Fairy Tale because, well, everyone has magic and then you have a ton of friends and different guilds. So I just think this world will be super fun to live in. And then also the author never kills anyone in this anime, so I'll basically live forever. But then I don't know if anyone knows this, called Nagi no Asukara. I think the English title is Lull of the Sea. And in this one, there are sea people that can breathe underwater and basically live in the ocean. I always thought this was really cool. So I would also like to live in here and be one of those sea people.
I
And the
love
last
that.
one,
Now I
oh,
understand
do
your
you know that
name
one?
for Orky. I'm starting to understand.
And then the last one, I would say Little Witch Academia. It's similar to Fairy Tale in the way where everyone has magic and then you have like your group of friends and all that. So I think this universe would be super fun.
Okay, so I think I would say now I wouldn't want to be in necessarily the storyline, but the universe is really cool. I like the more old school anime, so I'm gonna say Cowboy Bebop. I know it's a little bit of like the cop out answer because everybody loves Cowboy Bebop for the most part. But it's really cool, and so many of the other anime that I watch is like kind of dark and maybe not so great of a universe to live in myself, right? Like I am not interested in living in the Attack on Titan world. There are
Feel
so
you,
many of
yeah.
these that are just like amazing anime, and it's like, yeah, no, I never want to live there.
Yeah, like the ones I mentioned aren't necessarily my favorite anime, but animes that I would like to live in.
I totally get it. All right. So I think we're literally ending at exactly 3:45. That's amazing. All right. So before we end the session, we do still need to give a Ultra Gore away to an audience member. This week, everyone who has joined us in the Q&A is eligible to win. Coffee and I are going to be selecting a random winner shortly after the Q&A wraps up, and we'll announce the name to the community before the day is done. All right. So we are just about out of time for the session. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I want to thank all of our awesome guests for taking the time out of their very busy days to sit with us. And a sincere thank you goes out to all of you as well for hanging out with us to talk about the Bitverse. Our next Q&A session will be on August 18th. We will see you then. I hope you all have an absolutely incredible weekend, and please do not forget about Phasmophobia game night tonight, starting in about an hour. So we will see you there. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, thanks. And we all hope you have a great weekend.
No, thank you so much for inviting us to this Q&A.
Thank you very much. Time flies when you did things like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely, they're super fun. We love doing these Q&As, so we're definitely excited to be back next week. We'll see y'all then. Have an awesome weekend. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye.